All right, thank y'all for joining our webinar that happened earlier today. Unfortunately, we did have a recording mishap occur. So this is our re-recording of the webinar for anybody that wasn't able to attend or is looking to re-watch the webinar. That being said, just so you know that we will not be able to recreate the Q&A session as well as the customer poll. So just bear in mind that if you do have any questions besides the content that's being presented today, you'll see in multiple areas of the slide deck as well as the email that you just received to opportunities to contact myself or Matt with questions, or just obviously feel free to book a meeting with those questions because we'd love to speak with you directly. With that, we'll jump into introductions. Nice to meet everybody. I'm John Shamandi Cook. I'm the North American go-to-market lead for CrewCenter. Just so you all know, before I started working at Hilti, I actually came from the construction industry. I used to be a superintendent at Kiewit on large infrastructure projects. And really, that's all to just say that I've walked a mile in your shoes. I've dealt with collecting time cards, filling out time cards, dealing with, making corrections and figuring out who, editing those time cards. So we understand the pain and we felt the pain of the time card process or timekeeping process. And that's why we're really excited to show you CrewCenter today.
Yeah, absolutely. And my name is Matt Heilman, CSM with CrewCenter. Like John, come from an industry background as well. So it was in that project management space for a subcontractor on the East Coast, operating all up and down. But like John, again, looking forward to showing you how CrewCenter can solve some of those pain points that we had in the field around the time tracking, editing, and really just keeping things clean and concise. So we'll hop into that in a second. I'm going to let Fred introduce himself as well.
Thank you, Matt. My name's Fred. I'm the lead product manager for CrewCenter at Hilti. 8 years with the company. And these days, I'm also traveling the United States the second time to talk to your industry leaders to understand what the problems are, how we can help you solving the time issue, and helping you in developing a digital product moving forward.
Superb. With that, let's jump into the agenda. So for today, we're going to talk first in general, what are the industry challenges we've seen within workforce management? Next, we're going to talk about an introduction to CrewCenter, and then really the meat and potatoes of the webinar is this live demonstration that Matt's going to be running. And then finally, we'll cap this off with a product roadmap overview. And again, this Q&A chunk will not be available during this recording, but if you do have any questions, again, I'll just reiterate, you'll see our emails were available on the last slide. They'll be available in the email that you received, as well as just feel free to use the QR codes in this meeting to book a meeting directly on Matt's calendar. With that, let's jump into some of our content. So first, let's just talk about where does CrewCenter fit in this suite of products that Hilti has been developing over the years. Really with the goal, Hilti's goal is to create suite of products that all interconnect and speak to one another, and each product basically solves a huge amount of pain that you may be experiencing in the field. So let's talk first, hey, OnTrack. That's that strong, amazing asset management tool that automates equipment and material management processes. Next, for a lot of people would already be familiar with this one because we're on the FieldWire circuit of webinars, but that's FieldWire, this job site management tool, where you're able to share documents, create approval flows for those documents, as well as communicate and report back from the field effectively and quickly. Finally, so what's the missing piece here, right? That's CrewCenter, this workforce management tool, which its primary goal is really just deal with time and attendance, receiving time cards, approving those time cards, and then sharing them effectively within your accounting or budgeting systems. So with that, let's jump into some of our industry pain points. And again, a lot of these pains are not only just generic things that we've done research on or through trips that we've done, through trips that Fred has done within North America, as well as just the hundreds of clients that Matt and I have worked on, basically selling them CrewCenter and relieving some of these pains. So whether these clients are using, again, before CrewCenter, Excel, paper and pen timesheets, or even a third-party application, they're typically experiencing one or multiple of these pain points, and CrewCenter relieves all of them and gets rid of all of them. So with that, let's kind of walk through some of these. Inaccurate time data. A lot of the times your crews, your men and women in the field are filling out time cards at the end of the day, if not at the end of the given week. With that, so hey, they're forgetting what they actually did on site. They also don't know what job numbers they worked on or what the cost code numbers are. So really, it just requires a lot of editing after the fact when this data gets back to the office. Lacking real-time visibility into the field is our second point here, which is really comes in two parts, right? Typically, there's about a week lead time until you receive any of this time card data. So you're already delayed in being able to start the approval process. The second piece is, hey, unless you were boots on the ground, there's no way for you to confirm that those individuals were actually on site performing the work. Our third point here is disconnected approval and payroll processes, right? You're receiving this data via text from some individuals being scanned in. Potentially, people are walking them into the office as a paper timesheet. So in this case, with all this disjointed way of receiving all this material, there's no way to build a approval workflow that then gets this data approved on time for payroll to then process. Our fourth point here is error-prone double entry. And this one I think hits close to home for myself the most because I used to spend hours each week retyping time card data into our budgeting system at Kiewit. Now, when you consider that process, not only is it just a huge waste of time, but it's also there's a high likelihood that you mistake your fat finger an entry, let's call it. With that, finally, a lot of our clients are really just working with inefficient generic systems that are not built for construction. So let's jump into our next sign and really evaluate how CrewCenter helps fix all of these pains. Namely, the first piece is that what we've built here is a digital time and attendance system built for the construction industry with a user experience that's extremely easy to use, that your foremen and workers in the field are actually going to want to use, and finally, that has a very quick learning term and time to value. Secondly, we're eliminating the paperwork with real-time data access. So again, instead of waiting on that week lead time to receive that data, you're receiving it instantaneously and you're able to start that approval process even quicker. Thirdly, we're streamlining data sharing with payroll, right? Removing that need for that double entry into your accounting systems. And then finally, all of this is backed by our GPS verified on-site attendance, right? So you do not need to be boots on the ground and you can rest easy at night knowing where your workers are in real time. Finally, all of this is backed by our best-in-class Hilti support. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to Matt for our demonstration piece.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks, John. So now the fun portion for today, we're going to go ahead and explore how CrewCenter aims to solve for those industry challenges and scenarios John laid out earlier. So we're going to shift over and start in our web view just very briefly, and we're also going to hop into our mobile view to show you what that time entry looks like for the field. But before we go ahead and shift over to the mobile view, we just want to quickly highlight, and discuss that implementation of a new software. If you guys have ever tried to implement a new software, you're probably aware it's kind of a cumbersome sort of time to value. It can take weeks, months, coordinating trainings, all of that. With CrewCenter, we make it very easy to import your employee roster, projects, even cost codes if that's something you want to use. So again, if you have this information likely living somewhere else, you can easily copy that into our importer template and get up and running within a matter of hours. Again, we've seen customers decide CrewCenter is the right fit for them, and by the end of that day, their teams are already using it. So again, we're sort of putting your mind at ease for adopting a new solution to your tech stack. Great. So now we're going to go ahead and shift over to our mobile view, and so we're going to walk you through a couple different scenarios for that mobile time entry. So the first one we're going to walk you through is I'm going to say, I'm Arthur. I walk on site for that given day. And the workflow that we're going to go through is simply clock in, clock out. So we'll make sure we're on the correct project here. Atlanta Marina looks good on my end. We're going to skip this add employee option. And just one note on this. This is something that's only going to appear if you have a supervisor, a higher level permission view. So this is something that won't even be available for your individual employees. Again, streamlining and keeping the product very intuitive, easy to use. So again, I walk on site, I go ahead, I hit this green clock in button, and that clock's going to start ticking for that given day. So now let's go ahead and assume I've finished my second cup of coffee. I've chatted with my crew about what needs to be done for that day. I go ahead, get onto my station. I know I need to work on brickwork, kind of following up from yesterday. You can go ahead and select your cost code. So we're now speaking to how CrewCenter is built for the construction industry, allowing you to be very specific with what you're tracking here. And now again, let's say we're working on brickwork. That's top, easy to locate. Now, as you know, and we've heard from a lot of our customers, cost codes can get quite lengthy, and you can have quite a lot to sort of navigate through. CrewCenter allows you to provide a text to search option here, so we can just start typing in any specific keywords, and they'll populate in here. So again, eliminating the need to memorize all your cost codes. So from there, now we've applied a specific scope of work on project at a very specific time. So to switch back to web really quickly, just to show you how this information is then communicated back to the office to make sure everyone is, again, on the same page, up to date. We're going to go ahead and click into today's timesheet. Great. So now we're going to go ahead and look at Arthur up here. We go ahead and we can see that green dot next to his time card. That's signifying this is an active time card. So now if I'm back in the office, I click into that. I can see exactly where he is, when he arrived on site, and now to take a step further, even what he's working on. So now we've got full transparency from office to field. Now to take this one step further, we can also hop into that map view. So when I went ahead and I hit that green clock in button, it's also going to send an activity pin to our map feature right here. So now we have a geolocation of exactly where our individuals are clocking in and out. So again, we can verify exactly where they are. And now an interesting scenario that one of our customers sort of shared with us this week is this is a feature that's really valuable for them is they do a lot of T&M work. And that time portion of it needs to be accurate. Again, this is how they're billing out their customers. So a couple scenarios he walked us through is this allows them to validate that employees aren't clocking in, 30 minutes on the highway before they arrive on site. I'm sure there's a couple different scenarios where this could come into play. But again, it allows you to validate and confirm exactly where that time is being allocated. And now just one note on this is we have heard from customers that geo-tracking feature just something that their employees don't want. We've heard union shops are very specific on this. This is a feature that can be turned on or off. And we're also not tracking you throughout the day when you leave the site. It's only going to be when you set that activity on or off of that job site. So again, speaking to some of those industry challenges, again, we're now providing real live data back to the office, streamlining that communication. Once you're inputting that time, it's now relayed back to everyone who has access to CrewCenter. So we're going to pause here for one more second, and now we're going to go ahead and we're going to shift over to a retroactive approach here. So we're going to now shift over to our crew view down here, and now we're going to walk through that retroactive time entry. So again, in line with that adding crew live, we have the ability to go ahead and take a bulk action here. So we're going to select all the individuals needed. We're going to leave a couple out because they have time entries in there. So again, we can go ahead and add our entire crew and again, enter this time consistently. So again, we avoid that line item by line item. So we're going to select the time we come in, let's say 7 a.m. Let's say we clock out at 4 p.m. We can also add breaks in here. And now one note here as I add this break is you can also set company defined preset breaks. So we can even save you clicks on this portion, again, streamlining that data entry. And now going back is, speaking to the customization to the construction industry, we're going to allocate our cost codes as well. So let's say this crew was working on masonry work. We can go ahead and select those 3 times right here, and they're going to auto allocate based on the time worked for that given day. Now, easily, let's say this is not exactly, the breakdown of what you worked on. You can easily adjust times right here by just clicking the plus or minus arrows. So again, we hit confirm, add time entry, and there, within a minute, I went ahead and clocked my entire crew's time for that day. I can put my device down and then get back to doing the real work, tracking the production on site. Great. So again, we walked you through 3 different mobile time entries. So also speaking to the flexibility of CrewCenter, where again, it's not a one size fits all, and you can kind of even combine some of these clock in options as well to match whatever it is that your different crews prefer. So next step on that is let's verify that time is accurate. That way people get paid on time and the correct amount. So we're going to now hop over to this timesheet tab down here on mobile and go ahead and review Wednesday's time. So we're going to go ahead and select that day. And again, we can see we've got our inputs in here, but it looks like Chris has a time that's a little bit inconsistent with the rest of our crew on site that day. So maybe he just entered the wrong time. Very simple. So we'll show you how easy it is to update that time and edit on mobile. So we'll go ahead and select that time. We can also hit edit here and go ahead and we can see, yep, looks like he clocked out at 6 p.m. We're going to go ahead and adjust that to the correct time. Cost codes look good, so it looks like he just inputted an incorrect clock out time. We'll update that time entry, go ahead and back out to our approval side here. Go ahead, select our crew and approve for that week. So again, now we've walked you through the input side and the approval side all within a matter of minutes. So again, now we can confirm indeed that our time cards input for that Wednesday are accurate. We can avoid the communication back and forth from the office. That's something that we can go ahead and confirm on our end. We can get back to the work that's needed on site. So now let's also shift back to the web view and just kind of walk you through a couple scenarios for, say, a PM or an office manager. So we're actually going to go ahead and back out 1 week. So again, where I walked you through that approval on mobile, let's say that that approval is done maybe by a project manager or an office manager, whoever that is in your organization. CrewCenter also makes it very easy to kind of identify any errors. For example, you have the ability to go ahead as a PM. I could filter by my active projects right here and just narrow down. That way I'm not seeing the entire employee roster. I can scroll through here. Again, all looks good. A couple notes. We see some people didn't hit their 40 hours. Looks like some people had training, sick leave. Again, all of that can be tracked in CrewCenter. Now we're going to go ahead and back out to our full timesheet here. And again, to show you some of those edit functionalities here, we can go ahead and select individuals on a given day. For example, we can select Andrew, and now we've got full visibility into this week as well. So again, he's extending above our expected 8 hours. He's got some overtime here. Again, we've also got those notes for why he stayed for that overtime. So we're going to go ahead and back out. And one call out I'd like to make is you'll see some of these up and maybe down arrows. So within CrewCenter, you have the ability to import your project schedule in here. So you can assign expected hours for your work week. In this scenario, we've got 8 hours as our expectation. So we can see anything above 8 is going to have that up arrow. Again, indicating let's put an extra set of eyes on those time entries before we go ahead and hit approve. Now, in this case, we looked at Andrew's time card. We've got reasoning. All looks good here. We could approve directly from this time card right here, or we could go ahead and again, maybe this is something we want to do day by day. We could go ahead, maybe put this at the end of our workday just to kind of review what was done on site, make sure everybody was there. We can approve from right here. But again, sticking with that bulk action, saving you time, improving consistency, let's just go ahead and say we've reviewed everything for the week. We can go hit approve here. We can see we're going to see green check marks across the board now, signifying this week is good to go. Let's send off to payroll, make sure our guys get paid on time and accurately. So final step in this workflow is let's pull our data out of CrewCenter. We're going to click this export button here. And again, very simple. We're going to select our time frame. We're going to export. We can default to last week here. We'll hit that export button. And again, now we'll have an easily digestible CSV that can be used to either import into your financial software, or again, that financial team can do what they want with it in a very easy to digestible CSV export. Couple notes here is we've got a lot of customers and we're familiar with, people using various softwares out there for their payroll and financial. So Foundations, QuickBooks, Sage are just a few to name that some of our customers have worked with. And again, we've worked with them to make sure that export format is easy to access and again, saving them time and improving accuracy into the financial side. So again, this is where we encourage you to kind of go ahead and book that demo with us. We'll walk you through what we can provide. And so just to kind of pause one time and recap, we've walked through multiple different mobile entry scenarios, approvals, edits on mobile and both web. And we haven't even touched on a number of the other features over here, such as our dashboards for employees, projects, construction diary. So this is where we go ahead and encourage you to go ahead and use this link provided to go ahead and book a time directly with myself and or John, where we can walk you through the entire product and customize and tailor these demos to match your company's workflows. So again, I'm going to pass it back to John and Fred to walk us through the roadmap.
Thank you all for being here. I'm super excited to talk a little bit of what's up and coming with CrewCenter. And as we've seen in the amazing demo by Matt, CrewCenter is all about easy, reliable data capture in the field, to field back office processes, to get insights into information in the field, on projects, feeding payroll processes, and having a regular and very deep exchange with your industry leaders so that our R&D is also focusing on helping you in your journey becoming a more digital organization. And as we have a full plate here, I just want to highlight a couple of personal things on this roadmap that I feel that we should talk about. We have seen what we can do with geolocation information. We are obviously exploring and developing capabilities to also validate that time cards are actually trustworthy, that they have happened at the project where they're supposed to be. So this is a journey that we're taking on to basically make it easy and simple for people to collect the data in the field and automate it moving forward. Then we talked about integrations. We know there is a landscape of payrolling and accounting softwares. So what we are definitely focusing on moving forward is to make a more reliable and customizable information flow from the CrewCenter system into whatever system you've been using. So to make it easy for you to adopt CrewCenter also for the back office. And then last but not the least, we love technology. AI is the name of the game. We definitely see here a huge potential, also discussing pain points and use cases they would like us to solve, where we can use this technology to streamline data entry, to automate as much as we can, and make it as smooth as sailing for you to adopt the solution moving forward. Handing back over to MC John to close.
Tremendous. Thank you, Frederick. Again, I feel like a broken record here, but we will not be having a Q&A session on this call. But again, we've got Matt's QR code here to book a meeting. You have both my email and Matt's email here available as well. So please feel to reach out if you have any questions. Reach out to book a meeting. We're extremely eager to meet with you, and we'd love to get you in a customized demonstration where we won't just show you all the same information we showed you today. It's not just going to be a replay today. We really want to understand what your needs are at your company and then show you a customized demo from there. With that, appreciate you all for joining our webinar earlier today, or as well as, hey, joining the re-recording session that we just completed. Thank you.